Yo, what's up, guys? Business 124. What's going on here early? How you doing? I don't know if anybody else is in the room. I'm driving to work, just kind of an impromptu pop-up live drive. Had to leave the house at 7, and I decided at 6:58 I was going to do this. So here I am. Just going to touch on some stuff from the National. Everybody's putting their videos out. I did day-by-day National videos. Just kind of threw in some, I don't want to say vlog style footage because my stuff isn't professional style, but mixed in some, real life footage with, or hanging out footage with, daily breakdowns, daily synopses and all. And I want you guys to comment below which video you would like to see next. Cause my final National video, if you guys aren't sick of seeing National stuff by now, is going to come out in 2 parts. I'm going to do my rundown, my complete thoughts of the whole weekend. And then I'm going to do a video with just my pickups. That way I can go a little bit more into detail on what I traded for, what I bought, more than negotiating, instead of putting it all together in one super long video, taking up half your guys' afternoon watching and getting tired of me talking. But just a couple of things to take away from the National, that especially if people always have a lot of questions about. And Neo put out a video today talking about the gem rate numbers and how SGC grading was down like close to 50% on their monthly, I believe it was monthly numbers of grading card output. Whether that's lack of submissions or they're through their backlog or whatever. I hear that their turnaround time right now is only like 3 days. In fact, for myself, I have some cards that I'm going to submit to SGC tonight while I'm at work on my break. I'm actually going to put in a SGC submission. But I will say, one of the questions that I always get is how were the grading companies at the National? And I remember last year saying I didn't see a whole lot of SGC transactions. It didn't seem as, fluid as the other grading companies. You really saw a lot of vintage and a lot of exclusive SGC dealers. And that was slightly changed this year. I'm not affiliated with SGC at all, and I use all the grading companies. You guys know that. But I felt like SGC was a little more accepted abroad, across the whole spectrum, across the younger people looking to flip who normally just strictly use PSA or BGS. In fact, I sold a high-end auto patch card in an SGC slab to a young gentleman. And I felt like you did have a lot of vintage dealers with it. You had a lot of exclusive SGC people who seemed like that's who they only use, but they were also scattered through a lot more of the showcases. They just felt a little more accepted. It didn't feel like, oh my God, I can't get this SGC graded card and I'll be stuck with it for life. You didn't get that feeling. So even though it appears as if the gem rate data is down, or it is down by 50%, people were buying and selling and accepting SGC as a slab a little more so this year, at least in my opinion. Now, this is my observations. This show is too big for me to say my observations are 100% accurate. This is just what I saw. So I don't know if anybody else was there and kind of noticed that. I don't know where I'm supposed to park today because I'm back, and parking has been crazy here since we had all that stuff going on with the carnival and stuff. So let me get back here and check. But yeah, one of the kind of the lowlights of the show to me was the lack of young collectors. And I got the feeling that a lot of the younger generation in the hobby, especially between the ages of like maybe 10 and 18 or 12 and 18, were strictly there to, make money. They wanted to find cards. They wanted to get deals. They wanted to offer and lowball because they need room to make money. I get it. It's a business. Buying and selling cars is a business, and it's some people's livelihood. But I just felt like there wasn't a whole lot of the younger generation there actually looking for cards that they wanted to keep. I had multiple people come up to me at the first trade night, Card Collector 2's trade night. And I had a card that I wanted to sell that I was absolutely firm on at $1,000. And I had somebody come up to me. I'm getting old, so it's hard for me to guess ages, but I'm going to say no older than 13, and was like, I'll give you $700 for that card. Or they asked me how much. I said 1,000. And I was really firm. I didn't really, it was a trade night. It really wasn't. I was there to enjoy myself and not really get into hardcore negotiations. I said $1,000. It's kind of where I'm at. That's what I want for it. I'm not going to play the back and forth dance. They said, well, I'll give you 700. And I was like, I want 1,000. How about if I give you 800? I was like, no, I'm actually at 1,000 on it. And then he said again, well, I can be at 900 if you want, but that's as high as I can go. Like, he was like trying to push the deal on me. And I was like, no, as low as 1,000. And that's where I'm at, and I'm not hell bent on selling the card. And there was no deal made, and that was fine because I dealt that card later in the show for 1,500. So, I wasn't in a rush to move it the first night, but I just felt like everybody has this mentality of, I need room. Whether you're a dealer, whether you have overhead, travel expenses, all this and the other, or whether you're just coming to the show to try to buy stuff as a consumer and get meat on the bone. It's a little different of an approach. When I walk up to a dealer and I want to buy, I don't expect him to come off of his comps a whole lot. We can meet somewhere or off his sticker. We can meet somewhere unless the sticker price is crazy. But I mean, if they're priced around comps, I believe you can find a happy medium for both people. But if you're trying to buy something cheap enough to where not only do you have to resell it, you have to resell it quickly and still resell it under comps. You see the double-edged sword. So you got to buy it cheap enough to where you're not into the card for so much that you can make money when you sell it. However, you still have to be into it cheap enough that you yourself can sell it below comps, because nobody wants to buy anything at full price, because lots of people don't want to buy to collect. Collectors a lot of times will give you an asking price because they want the card for themselves. It's worth something to them to keep. But people looking to make money, are like, if this card's comping at 1,000, I'm going to be able to sell it at 900. So I got to buy it off you for 800 to be able to make myself $100. Why would a dealer do that? Why wouldn't a dealer just be like, well, I'm just going to keep it in my case and I would just sell it for 900 if somebody offers me that? Why would they cut themselves $200 off? So I see the dealer side of it. I've set up as a dealer. So that was just kind of my take on that. And that was I've seen it happen multiple times. And a lot of times it was with this younger crowd of, call me an old man if you will, but a younger crowd of 12 to 18. And the 12-year-olds out there dealing, they have money. But I think, they watch a lot of their favorite YouTubers and vlogs and stuff like that, and they want to live that flip life. They want to have that flip mentality. They want to be like their favorites. And their favorites are great when it comes for entertaining. But it's not the realistic picture. It's like when you're growing up and and I've kind of gone off a tangent here, but it's kind of like when you're growing up and you're playing Little League Baseball and, you want to grow up and be a Major League Baseball player. But we all know we all know as adults, that's not the realistics of it. But as a kid, you don't understand. And it takes somebody like my grandfather was a drill instructor, and he was strict, and he taught me the value of hard work and responsibility and preparation and motivation and things like that. I learned that from him. I didn't need Gary Vee to teach me that. So, he was the realistic person in my life who, when I was like 10 years old, was like, Stevie, you need to understand that you're not going to grow up and be a Major League Baseball player. And as a kid, hearing that is tough. Your grandfather just comes in and kind of crushes your dreams. But it's when you look back on it and you're like, man, the lessons you learn in life, you can apply that to YouTube right now. Not everybody's going to grow up and be a card flipper and a YouTube personality and things like that. Yes, you can go on YouTube and you can have fun with it like I do. But, a lot of people on YouTube are turning into celebrities in the community. And other people are seeing this and think that it's easy to do. And it's not. Whether it's flipping the cards, whether it's getting viewership, whether it's this, that, and the other. And I completely went off a tangent, but I was going to do a completely different video on that because that was one of the biggest negativity or negative things that I saw at the National. Forget Atlantic City, forget the parking, forget some of the bad neighborhoods, forget the ride from the airport, forget the internet, forget all the stuff that a lot of people have said have been bad things. Look at the community. Look at the generation of the community that's going to carry on and say that's probably the biggest issue, because without the younger generation being collectors and really being invested from an emotional or an attachment standpoint into the hobby and just being into it for a money standpoint, there will be no growth. And I was going to do a whole video on this, but the day that this was going through my head as I was agitated leaving the National, I was walking out the exit, and standing there at the exit, there was a big sand sculpture. And I know a lot of you guys have seen it in people's videos. There's a big sand sculpture. It said the National, and lots of people took pictures with it, where there was a little kid, and he must have been 5 or 6 years old. And he was standing there with his father, and the mother was taking a photo of him. And he had the biggest smile on his face, that he was at the National with his dad, and he was getting a picture taken in front of that sign. And I saw the authenticity. I saw the genuine happiness. I saw that he was just happy to be at the National and enjoy himself and try to look for some cards. And that completely erased all of that animosity that I had leaving the show that day. That was the highlight of my day almost, at least for that time, because it made me smile and it made me realize, man, there are still some good ones out there. And I know that sounds corny, but it was just kind of like, it was just a good moment. It was a good moment to see after seeing some of the other stuff. And this live drive turned into something that it completely wasn't supposed to be. I was going to talk about other stuff, but my live drives are never scripted, and I get on something and that's where I go with it. Dave G, I saw you in my chat a minute ago. I have a YouTube viewer. I don't like to use the word follower, because you guys don't follow me. I'm not a leader. I'm not like, oh, these people follow me. You're I'm one of you guys. I'm not. So you're a viewer. So I get an Instagram message from Dave G saying, hey, I want to meet you at the National and stuff. And I'm standing at a showcase. I think it's the last day. And I'm looking at some cards, and a young man walks up to me. Again, I'm terrible with ages, but walks up to me and says, hey, you're flipping Steve. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, I'm Dave G. And I was completely surprised, because I thought everybody who watched my channel was old men. No offense to the people who watch, but this was a young man. I'm not going to try to guess your age, but got a photo with me, got his father to take a photo. I give him a sticker. And that was awesome to see that not all of my viewers are old guys and think like old men. Because to a lot of people, this whole rant that I just went on might have just sound like a grumpy old man rant. But to me, it was just a real emotional feelings that I took away from the National. Guys, I got to go to work. Thanks for joining me for my live drive. Again, it was just a rant. Maybe it was just a bunch of useless talking, but That's what I have you guys there for, to listen to me when I need to talk about something. I'll see you guys in my next video. I want to set up a live stream with multiple people to reflect and bounce the national ideas off each other, or not ideas, but takeaways. And I'll see you guys next time around.